We starting Cardinals or ASU?
We'll start ASU. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Fox 10 Talk Sports Pregame. Robby Baker, Blake Niemann, talking some Sun Devil football, some Arizona State football. And we'll start ASU. It is a bye week for ASU, so no. I guess the beautiful thing is ASU can't lose on the bye week, right? They're 1-0 on the bye week. But there are a ton of Big 12 games with some big implications for the Sun Devils coming down the pipe this weekend. The biggest game probably in the country is a Big 12 game with BYU and Texas Tech. We'll talk about that a little bit, but let's just start with the Sun Devils. This team is still kind of a mash unit right now. They're getting healthier during the bye week. But an interesting move by Kenny Dillingham this week to basically give the team, well, not basically, he did give the team the entire week off. Get out of the facility. Yes, guys are still around working out, lifting, running, and things of that nature. But they, get out, get your head right, get your body right, get back after it on Monday. We'll start getting ready for West Virginia is what Kenny told the guys. From being around them the last week and then Monday at the press conference, what's kind of your read on the vibe around there right now? To me, it seemed like the right feel for the team to just say, okay, let's hit the reset button before the home stretch.
I think it's been an emotional roller coaster this season for ASU fans, players, coaches alike. Just going through the ebbs and flows of the loss early on against Mississippi State, coming into the season on the verge or fringe of the top 10, and then being knocked all the way out of the top 25 and people being skeptical of, was this just another flash in the pan ASU team like the one we saw back in 2014 or even prior to that? Is the 1996 season? Is it just going to be a flash in the pan? And that's still up in the air of if ASU can replicate what they did last season, winning a Big 12 championship. We still don't know that. And then Sam Leavitt, your starting quarterback, being ruled out and, being set to go under season-ending surgery. He just had that season-ending surgery. It went successfully. I spoke with his family about that, so that's good to hear that he's on the road to recovery now. But then you have that, prior to that, you have your star wide receiver, probably the best player on your team, likely to be a first-round pick, and Jordan Tyson. He goes down before that. So you lose your top two players who really rallied you to that championship last season. And that takes a huge emotional hit on the team.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think then you go from that low and then losing for the first time at home since, a lot of guys have been here. That
2024.
Right? 2023. Yeah, it was the first time Sam Leavitt had lost a game on that field. A lot of those guys who had transferred in after that first season, it's the first time they'd lost a game on their home turf. Like that takes an emotional hit to you. Mm-hmm. And then to reverse all of that, by going out with Jeff Sims, who set a school record for rushing yards by a quarterback, 227 rushing yards.
Jeff Sims legacy game.
His jersey is literally hanging now in the Sun Devil Athletics Hall of Fame.
I love this. They didn't even wash it. It's still got all the mud stains on it, the red paint from the Iowa State field. It's in a glass case. Glorious perfection there.
If you're able to stop by the team gift shop just outside the stadium, the Carson Student Athlete Center, you'll be able to see it in there. It's in a glass case right smack dab in the center. ASU history for Jeff Sims. So then you turn all that bad into good, clinch bowl eligibility at least. I know that's not the goal for ASU fans this year, but still to, get that clinched and to go on the road shorthanded without your top two offensive players, without Ben Coleman, who's been out with an offense on the offensive line, and some banged up players on defense, without Miles Rouser for the first half of that game.
Yes,
that spoke to a lot of ASU's character. And so to go through all of that really in the last 3 to 4 weeks.
I'm exhausted just hearing it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to give a debrief to all the listeners
so much.
of what all has happened to this team in the last month. And no one could have predicted it. You really can't predict injuries. You can't predict any of this happening. You go from Field Storm, Texas Tech, everything's all good, to Jordan Tyson out, Sam Leavitt out, loss in your home field, and then winning with Jeff Sims. Like, it's just an emotional ride, and I think everybody,
anything is possible.
Now it feels like, what can happen? West Virginia, not a very good football team, although they did beat Houston, so that's a kind of scratches some heads for some Sun Devil fans. And then you have, after that, Colorado, who's been pretty abysmal this year.
They've gotten blown out 110-17 their last two games.
They've gotten blown out in their last 2 games. Could be a Jordan Tyson return game. Kenny Dillingham said it's likely he might be back.
And a little revenge game.
And a little revenge
for
game for JT. He went to Colorado his freshman year before tearing his ACL late in the year. And then to end out the season, it's the Territorial Cup at home. It doesn't get any, that is a game that still carries as much weight as ever. And ASU has been better than U of A this year, but U of A has gotten better than they were last year. So, and that game can always play tricks on you, as you know.
Yeah. So, quick in the chat, shout out to Mr. Paul Valine asking who's hosting the show. It's Robby and Blake. We're always here 3:30 on Friday, and then a hello to you as well. And Celeste asking what is going on. I don't know. We don't really know. We're just here. We're here at. Oh, that's Blake. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. See, I don't know what's going on either. No, we're talking sports here, Celeste. So if you want to talk Sun Devils, Cardinals, whatever's on your mind, we give life advice. It's probably not good. I wouldn't listen to us, but we can if you want to talk about that too. So you kind of alluded to what the home stretch is here on out for ASU. West Virginia, they're all winnable games. And really, when you look at the way the schedules line up here, you could be looking at a Territorial Cup with both teams sitting around 8 wins. If things go, according to plan for both squads, Arizona still has to play Cincinnati. And if you are a Sun Devil fan, you never want to admit it, but you're probably rooting for U of A in that game. You need a 2-loss Cincinnati if you're ASU to keep your hopes in the Big 12 championship race. Everything is still technically ahead of this ASU team. They're going to need a lot of help if they want to get back to the Big 12 championship game. A ton of help. But the Houston losing last week helps them a lot. And if this BYU Texas Tech game, we'll touch on it briefly here. This is one of the games that, at the beginning of the year, if you were a Sun Devil fan, you were probably hoping that the ASU Texas Tech game was going to take on what this BYU Texas Tech game has. It's college game day. You had the Pat McAfee show there today. It's a top 10 matchup. It's one of the biggest Big 12 regular season games that is scheduled to be played that I can remember in recent memory. I mean, this is big time.
Yeah, at least since OU, kind of fell off after the Lincoln Riley days.
Once they left for the SEC, this is marquee college football. And again, if you're an ASU fan, you're rooting for BYU in this game because you want Texas Tech to have 2 conference losses. If they have 2 conference losses, they would have the same amount as ASU. ASU won the head-to-head. They have the tiebreaker. This is kind of an elimination game for Texas Tech coming up tomorrow. And honestly, BYU, I keep thinking their quarterback, he wears 47. He's a freshman. I keep thinking this kid, his name's Bear. I'm like, Bear Bachmeier. I'm like, okay, eventually, the clock's going to strike midnight on Cinderella, right? This kid he balls, man. Like, he has it going on this year. And that BYU team seems special. So maybe they go run the table in the regular season. And honestly, that's probably, again, if you're looking at the path for ASU, an undefeated BYU going to the conference championship game probably keeps ASU in the mix with the 2 lost teams right now. But it's funny because we're doing the math right now, and I was actually talking to Trenton Bourget, who's on the staff now, earlier this week, and Trenton was saying that they've kind of started doing this in the meetings a little bit of like, well, if this happens and then these 2 things happen, but there's still so much. It's a month. There's still a month in the season. It's so much. There's so much out there. So many scenarios. You drive yourself crazy.
This is exactly the case that ASU was in for the last month of the season for a lot of last year.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, Colorado was last year when they had Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Up until really the last 2 weeks of the season when Colorado lost to Kansas. It wasn't until then. And then Colorado, I believe, lost again while in the middle of the BYU game was happening. And that's when I think in the middle of the BYU game, when Colorado was getting beat, I think that's when ASU fans, if they were checking the score, kind of started to sense that this could actually happen, that a Big 12 championship was a possibility. Then they beat BYU. It was like, beat U of A and you're pretty much in. And then there was a few other scenarios that had to take place and they were very much in ASU's favor, and that ended up happening. The funny thing about, I'm just going to spread this Big 12 picture as a whole. I was talking about this with Doug Haller from The Athletic the other day, and think about it
all-time great dude.
All-time great dude, all-time great journalist. If you haven't read his stuff on theathletic.com, please read it. He's got amazing stuff, great storyteller. But I was talking about it this way. If BYU goes undefeated the rest of the way, gets into the Big 12 championship game, whoever plays them, ASU, not ASU, whoever plays them if they beat BYU in the Big 12 championship game, is the Big 12 a two-bid league? Is a one-loss BYU losing in the Big 12 championship game and then the auto bid from the winner of the championship game, is the Big 12 a two?
Well,
the CFP rankings just came out, and BYU and Texas Tech were both within the top 10 of the picture.
No, this is the part.
Because the ACC, I think, is going to be a one-bid league.
Oh, yeah. And it right now it's trending towards probably SMU. Probably. Right. Still a lot of football to be played. Also, shout out Christine, proud of ASU no matter what she says. She wants them to do their best. We have 2.5 minutes till we got to hit our break here. You're going to put me on the soapbox here. I used to work in the South. I covered the SEC in Alabama and Auburn for 4 years. It does mean more. It is different. I'm not downplaying anything about the SEC. It is basically NFL football light. Does the SEC deserve 11 teams in a 16-team playoff? Absolutely not. This is where we'll start, and this is a great question that you and Doug brought up and we're discussing, because a one-loss in this scenario, one-loss BYU, I do not see how you argue that they are less deserving than a 4-loss LSU.
Look to a few years ago when the 4-team playoff, TCU went undefeated and lost in the Big 12 championship game to Kansas State and still made it in.
They still made it in.
Then they got blown out by Georgia in the Natty, but they even beat Michigan here in the Fiesta Bowl.
But they made it to the national championship game.
They did.
No, I was talking to and again with Trenton earlier this week about just the public perception of the Big 12 still is kind of, people talk about the Big 10 and the SEC, and then the ACC is just kind of like somewhere. They just kind of exist. And then especially with Clemson kind of falling off and stuff this year. But for some reason, the Big 12, it's just constantly kind of like, it's cute. They do it. They're there. And it's like, no, guys, there's a top 10 matchup in the Big 12 this weekend. This is very high level football. And look at the SEC this year. They're all beating each other up. Parity is the name of the game now with the transfer portal and NIL. Just because there's parity in the Big 12 does not mean it's a lesser conference. Look at the SEC this year. Other than Alabama and Georgia, they're all beating each other up.
I will give quick credit to College Game Day because they're going to Big 12 schools in back-to-back weeks. They were at Utah the week before, and now they're at Texas Tech this week. So shout out. It took them a few weeks, but now the national scale is starting to take notice of the Big 12.
They got there. But yeah, it's just funny to me that when SEC teams beat each other, it's always kind of spun, it seems like, as, wow, what a great game, though. What a great game. And when Big 12 teams cannibalize each other, it's like, well, they got 2 or 3 losses, so Pop-Tarts Bowl. And it's like, well, great, Pop-Tarts Bowl, great. But again, these were very good games and very high-skilled games. So we'll see what happens. Welcome back into Fox 10 Talk Sports pregame. Robby Baker, Blake Niemann. Shout out to everybody in the active chat today. Christine kind of leading us into our next discussion here. She says the Cardinals, Brissett is very good for them, a leader. Joe saying hello to everybody and also saying to trade Kyler Murray. He's too small to see over the line. Not the first time I've heard that argument. And then Christine agreeing that Kyler Murray needs to be traded. And that leads us into our discussion here because it's probably not hyperbolic to say that Kyler Murray may have played his last down as the quarterback of the starting quarterback, at least, of the Arizona Cardinals with the news this week that Jacoby Brissett has been named the starter moving forward is kind of the way to phrase it, I suppose. And also then, hours later, Kyler Murray being placed on injured reserve. It's worth noting that the team has said that the move is obviously for Kyler to get healthy with his foot injury, and that there is a timetable that he could still return this year. They haven't said he's done for the year and they're shutting him down or anything like that. But he is on IR, so that means for the next month at least, it's the Jacoby Brissett show, which means, there's only 2 months left in the season, so it's basically the Jacoby Brissett show. I say this also with the context of Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett have both played in 5 games this year. Kyler Murray has thrown for about 80 more yards than Jacoby Brissett, but Jacoby Brissett has thrown 6 touchdowns to only 1 interception. Kyler has thrown 6 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Kyler Murray obviously still offers the running threat, but I think the eye test, which is you hear so much in sports, it is undeniable that Jacoby Brissett has passed the eye test. In this offense specifically, more than Kyler Murray, because this Drew Petzing offense is, I guess you would consider it it's a traditional offense. Under center, play action, establish the run, take some shots downfield, but take what the defense gives you. And it is undeniable watching these last couple games with Jacoby, and especially the Monday Night Football win, that this offense is on schedule, on time, and all of a sudden, Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr., all of a sudden, oh my gosh, they have weapons on the outside with Jacoby Brissett playing quarterback. It's the darndest thing.
I think that's the biggest thing for me, is less of the quarterback-to-quarterback comparison. How has Arizona's surrounding stars elevated with Jacoby Brissett? That's what has really caused me to make this shift of Jacoby Brissett being the best thing for this team this season. Marvin Harrison Jr., top 4 pick in the NFL draft a couple of years ago. Really haven't seen him have a breakout game. His career high, Robby, going into Monday Night Football was 6 reception in his game.
That's wild.
6.
That's wild.
For a top 4 pick, getting 6 receptions. He got 7 with Jacoby Brissett in his 3rd game playing with Jacoby Brissett. Trey McBride, in his 2nd game playing with Jacoby Brissett against the Green Bay Packers, scored multiple touchdowns in a game for the first time in his career. And before that, last season, it took 8 weeks or more for Trey McBride to get his first career touchdown?
It was kind of a running. The one touchdown he had early in the season was he recovered a fumble in the end zone, and it took until week 12 or 13 until he had a receiving touchdown. And quickly, just to your point, in the games with Jacoby Brissett as the starting quarterback, Trey McBride has, I'm making myself do math quickly. Well, he has 4 touchdowns. 4 of his 5 touchdowns this season have come with
one
McBride.
Against the Colts, 2 against the Packers, and 1 against the Cowboys.
And then he was targeted 11 times, 8 catches against Indianapolis, 13 targets, 10 catches against the Packers, 9 targets, 5 catches against Dallas, and again, the touchdown. So, again, you talk about the eye test, you talk about the stats. Kind of undeniable again that Jacoby has kind of awoken something in Trey McBride here.
And it's consistency. Over the 3 games that Jacoby Brissett has played, he has thrown in each of them for over 200 yards and at least 2 touchdowns in each of those performances. You guys know the last Cardinal quarterback to do that? Carson Palmer in 2015. That's how long it's been since a quarterback has thrown 3 straight games with 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Were you still in high school in 2015?
In 2015, I was in the 6th grade.
I feel terrible now. I'm like Unc over here talking. Back in my day, Carson Palmer.
I was in the 6th grade in 2015. So that tells you how long it's been since the Cardinals have had sustained passing. And I was talking about this with people. It's just a different look at the offense. And I think it's playing more into what Drew Petzing is wanting to do. Play action under center, setting up the pass from the run game. With Kyler Murray, if you look up Kyler Murray highlights on YouTube, especially from this season, I've bet like 90% of the snaps, you're going to see him in the shotgun or in the pistol.
Mm-hmm.
With Jacoby Brissett, nearly 90% of his snaps have come from under center.
Yeah.
That variation, I think, has enabled a lot more deception, bringing down safeties to open up deeper passing game. I mean, Jacoby Brissett was throwing some balls, like 23-plus yard passes.
Well, that's something, too, is the third down when, inevitably an offense is going to get off schedule. And Jacoby, in the 3 games he has played or started, they've been able, if it's 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, 3rd and long, he's been able to still connect downfield to keep drives alive, where Kyler Murray has just, this year more than others, has not been able to do that. And I think another talking point that I've heard kind of circulating around this week is it's undeniable. Kyler Murray is an incredible athlete. He has more athletic ability in his pinky finger than I have in my entire body. So I'm not knocking his ability to do incredible things as an athlete. And I say this to your point of the consistency. We have seen the flashes of Kyler Murray being incredible and doing things that it's like, I didn't think you could even do that in a video game. I mean, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago against the Raiders in a game that went to overtime, and they had to score a touchdown, and he scrambled around for like 30 seconds and scored. They needed a 2-point conversion, and he did it again. There have been times in his career where you say, yes, that is the guy that won the Heisman. That's the guy that's the number 1 overall pick. He's the next potential Lamar Jackson. He could change the quarterback position. And then there's like 8 weeks after that where you're like, what happened to that guy? So the consistency has not been there for Kyler, and even listening to the stuff that Gannon and Petzing and stuff have said this week, that kind of led into the Jacoby Brissett decision. He's kind of been Mr. Steady Eddie and reliable here.
And the biggest thing that, from talking with the guys in the locker room, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been putting in extra work after practice in recent weeks with Jacoby Brissett, getting extra work to get on the same page. And the consistent word that has come up with Jacoby is his communication. And I don't know. I can't listen into those huddles with Kyler Murray or walk up and down those sidelines to know how much he is communicating. But it's clearly been emphasized when Jacoby Brissett has been the starter that communication has been effective, it's been consistent, it's been clear, and that everybody's been on kind of the same page. And I think that dialogue, at least coming down from Drew Petzing to Jacoby Brissett and filtering throughout the offense, it seems like everybody's kind of intertwined right now. And with Kyler Murray, or at least early on in the season this year, felt like times that the offense wasn't necessarily on the same page, and there was some disconnection between him and his targets.
It's also worth noting, as we start to kind of go down this path now, I mean, as this continues to unfold, we'll have a lot more to talk about on here when it comes to what do you do with Kyler Murray. He's still on, I think he's got 3 years or 2 years left of that massive contract extension. Cutting him means this much of dead cap. If you trade him after this, I mean, there's a million.
But I believe
things.
his guarantees are up after this year.
I think that is right. That does sound right.
Don't quote me.
That does sound right.
Yeah.
I just assume that it'll be the New York Jets have acquired 1 million draft picks in the last 48 hours, and
shout out Sauce Gardner.
The New York Jets, maybe, I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't know anything, but this just feels like a Jets move to trade for Kyler Murray probably in this offseason. But I just want to also just add more context to all this as we continue to kind of evaluate what Kyler Murray is and was and could be for this team. Is when you look back on his 7 years in the league, he's never really had a coaching staff that had more experience than him. And I say that, and I know Richard brings this up a lot back in the sports office, is obviously when he came in, it was with Cliff Kingsbury. They were both learning what the NFL was together. And obviously there was ups and downs in that. And then Jonathan Gannon has come in, first-time head coach. Petzing, first-time offensive coordinator. I mean, there's a lot of firsts that have been constantly surrounding Kyler Murray. And I'm not saying that, I'm not blaming anybody for this, but it's just context that Kyler Murray has never stepped into any point of this organization where it was, like a Sean Payton or a Bill Belichick, or even when Bruce Arians was here, you mentioned Carson Palmer, where it is an established coaching staff with years and decades of NFL experience saying, this is how we do it, this is how it's done, this is how you lead, all those different pieces. Kyler's never had that infrastructure here. I'm not saying I'm not making excuses for him. It's just something to add some context as we continue to have this Kyler Murray discussion, if you will. A couple minutes left, real quick. The Cardinals do play a football game on Sunday, a division game against the Seattle Seahawks, a team that, if my memory serves correct, has beaten the Cardinals 13 of their last 15 times they've played each other. Not great. It's been brutal against the Seahawks, like as long as I can remember. It will, of course, be Jacoby Brissett. The Cardinals will be without, we found out today, Mack Wilson, Max Melton, and Will Johnson. So 3 key playmakers on defense going up against the Seattle offense on the road. That is somehow one of the best offenses in the league with Sam Darnold. I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening.
Jackson Smith and Jimba is how.
Well,
that's
happening. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But can the Cardinals? Can they get a second win in a row? I mean, the odds are stacked against them, but we also saw last night a Denver Broncos Las Vegas Raiders game where the Broncos were like 2-score favorites, and if the Raiders kicker didn't stink, that game may have went to overtime.
The defensive injuries are an issue, and that is going to severely hurt this Cardinal team, who is already, down without their starting quarterback. Jacoby Brissett, we've already discussed, is probably in the better situation now. But the defensive players, who all those players played on Monday Night Football. Some of them left the game prematurely with Mack Wilson as well as Max Melton. But you're losing your Mike Alpha linebacker.
Play caller, yeah.
You're losing your starting cornerback, and you're already thin at quarterback from the start of the season. You lost Starling Thomas before the year and another one of their cornerbacks. And now you're losing Will Johnson, your standout rookie, who played probably his best game as a Cardinal against the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now you're going up against one of the best offenses in the league right now.
That kind of torched them about a month and a half ago here on Thursday Night Football.
Yes, one on that game-winning field goal in that stretch of where the Cardinals lost on 3 straight game-winning field goals, if I have to remind you. So, and the way the Seahawks are playing right now, like I said, they're playing as one of the best teams in the NFL. Sam Darnold has revived his career. Jackson Smith and Jimba looks like the next big wide receiver joining that group with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the rise, and I just don't see the Cardinals getting a win.
I think the Seahawks
soar.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. I will say, bright spot, Walter Nolan, the rookie,
yes,
out of Ole Miss,
yes,
balled out against
Played
the
a great
Cowboys.
game.
We'll see if he can stack performances here. But if I think we're not like in mock draft season or anything yet. But if you are a Cardinals fan right now, you're holding on to those pieces. Can Walter Nolan have another standout performance? Can you continue to see progression?